So welcome for Pros Tommy and Ghost. Yeah, welcome to the developers meeting of today. Yeah, we have ongoing topics on the development side on let's say ROS, and I just want to hear some of your last thoughts about what you did with ROS and whether you ran into dead ends or because we have Ido here today, I would like to take you the chance to talk with him directly. So, Rebecca, why not start with you?
Well, let me see. What I was thinking of doing was that ROS2 bridge that you recommended.
Mhm.
Of course, Node.js will be sitting outside of ROS, and that will be the connector. And
Yeah.
then we had APIs that were built in Python. So I wanted to put those in nodes within the ROS2 packages
Hmm.
and get the data from whatever those APIs retrieve from the servers or from the Sky 360 station and send that over either as a topic or a service. I think it is. One is request response. The other one is publishing.
Yeah.
So send that information over to Node.js via the ROS2 WebBridge. Does that sound pretty accurate?
Yeah, you can do that, or if you want, you can actually have the browser subscribe directly to the ROS2 topics.
Okay.
So there is a JavaScript library that has that. I'll try to find it and send it your way.
Okay.
But
Thanks. Okay.
both options will work. Yeah, both options are fine.
Okay. Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah, good.
And
So,
I think that's kind of the direction I'm heading in. Right
Yeah,
now, I'm actually using Mike G's ROS2 build. I'm currently installing that. I didn't quite finish it yet, but I
cool.
was gonna go off of his so that way we have a piece of software that's connected. Mike G has the simple tracker, and I have a mask overlay, and the simple tracker needs the mask overlay. So
Hmm.
I'm going to be giving that to him via ROS, or yeah, through ROS2. So that's why I'm using his build. And I don't know if we should build a separate ROS2 build, just a clean build, or just go off of Mike G's. That's my other thought, but that's something for others to decide on.
Okay.
That I just don't know. I don't want to do duplicate work, but I want to get stuff done so that way we can at least transfer it over to whatever we do finally use.
Yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense.
So that's what I'm doing right now. And that's really all my questions for you right now. So
Okay, cool.
yeah, so Ido, can you say something about shall we create a new repo, a long time an LTS version of ROS or something? I have no idea.
So
So maybe Rebecca, we can recall this question.
no, I get the question.
Okay.
So it's really a matter of habit, right? If it's easier for you to just do it in a new repo, then do that. I wouldn't be too concerned around it. Right now, just do what gets you the progress. Okay.
okay.
Once we have that progress done, then we can reevaluate, and restructure if we need to, like the repositories or whatever.
Okay.
I honestly think like starting from scratch will be too much. But yeah, it's up to you. If you feel it's more comfortable, then just go ahead and do that.
Well, I think so far I'll stick with what Mike G has so far, simply
Okay.
because he has Simple Tracker installed on that, and some of my software will be interacting with his. So it just seems the simpler
Yeah.
route to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Let's maybe Mike. We can ask you about your experience with the implementation you did with ROS2, because I saw you split your code already in several parts and wrap them into ROS as a node, right?
Yeah. So I'm just trying to. So I'm just trying to move it forward. I mean, I understand the concepts. I've got, I've changed message types. I've got message types that are dependent on standard message types and all those sorts of things. So I've got all that sort of stuff working. It's just basically getting through it now. It's just getting through the stuff that I need to get through. I'm actually just in the process of I was just in the process of implementing the annotated frame in a visualizer, just so that I can see a frame and bounding boxes on the frame and that sort of thing, all coming from different sources and that. So I'm making fairly good progress. I mean, the other thing I was, once I've got it working end to end, it's then there's still lots of work I need to do. So basically, I need to then go through my packages and essentially implement a frame processor, which basically takes into consideration CPU versus GPU. So I want to abstract that away. So there's lots of that sort of stuff that's still, it's just getting through it. I mean, I don't have any blockers or anything like that at the moment. Personally, the only thing I tried to do earlier today was I definitely want to try and compile that other background subtraction library, because I think there's some there are two good implementations there which I'm kind of quite keen to try. One's called Lobster and the other one's called something else. I can't remember now, but I think they might be a little bit better than the KNN which we currently use. But I just need to try it. But one thing I have noticed, the one thing I have come to realize as well is the one cool thing with splitting the application up into like several components like this and packages and things, essentially like bits of execution, is that we can decide which bit runs on CUDA. So there's some stuff that won't be able to. So essentially, in the past, what it was like a global flag. It was essentially, basically, we turned a simple tracker to be able to use GPU on for the whole application or off for the whole application. Now, what's quite neat is we can decide, like for example, the what's it called now? The dense optical flow stuff. If we want that running on GPU, we can switch just that one bit on GPU. If there's a background subtractor that can run on GPU, we can. So I quite like that. I quite like the ability to be able to configure each independent package in that way. So I'm thrilled. I think it's a great platform and a great tool set, and I get on with it really well. I get it, and it's not too much. It wasn't too difficult to get my head around it and stuff. So it just works. I mean, there will be concerns with performance and throughput and those sorts of things, but I mean, we'll get to that. The main thing now is just to try and get the whole pipeline implemented and working and demoed to you guys, sort of thing. That's where I'm trying to get to. But yeah, so that's kind of my current experience. I got no quibbles or issues.
No blockers.
Cool.
No.
Nice.
Sweet, yeah.
It's all right.
You were mentioning background subtraction, and I can recall your link that you sent from that one guy, I can't recall his name, who collected the 42 algorithms around background subtraction. It was impressive to me that how much exists today. wanted to have it 20 years ago, but it's incredible. And how many papers are written about that topic? 870
I know.
papers were listed.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's mental, isn't it? It's
In
so
20 years.
yeah, I found that. Yeah, exactly. So I found that quite interesting actually, and as I say, I struggled to get that thing to compile today, but I'm missing some sort of library or something somewhere. So I might go down the Docker route, and that might force me to go down the Docker, the implement ROS in Docker and do a
Oh.
Docker build and
Oh.
all that sort of stuff for Rebecca and all those sorts of things as well to incorporate that background subtraction library because it's not compiling on my PC. So I might get to a point where in order to use that, I have to go down Docker really instead of messing about with my main PC really.
Yeah, there is another way. If you don't want to use Docker, there is something called Nix, Nix. It's kind of a package manager, but it's much more. You can take a look at that. Maybe that will help as well.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I mean, I'm fine. I'm fine with going down the Docker route in all fairness, because I've got to. I think it's not a bad shout to do it that way anyway, because then I need to just familiarize myself with it again and get something implemented, and then I might as well go down the route and get Simple Tracker, do a Simple Tracker Docker build and all these sorts of things, and just Dockerize the whole lot. Just because I think that'll just be easier for everyone. I'm just not quite there yet, if you know what I mean. I'm just at the moment. I'm just trying to I'd like to get Simple Tracker working using ROS, and I with a visual element current, and I'm really close. And as soon as I can do that, then maybe I can look to do some work on some, on Docker really, and kind of see if I can produce something that everyone can use. I'm going to need some help there, I think, but I'm sure we can work through it.
Mm-hmm.
Is anyone here, Magnus, for example, who has experience with Docker and could help? Mike, would that work if someone helps you with Docker?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It doesn't have to be me that does the Docker thing. I mean, it would. It might be good because I don't want to be like the main linchpin for everything, because sort of thing. So it might be good if if someone else wants to pick up the Docker side of things, then that'd be really cool. I don't want to kind of nominate or force it onto anyone, but that's not my style. But yeah, if someone else wants to pick it up, I know Patrick was kind of mentioning that he wouldn't mind. But it's just, I think it's just quite it's quite daunting, I think, because there's quite a lot of people in the dev meetings and stuff like that, and some people might not want to ask certain questions, and all I'd like to say is anyone can ask any question they want. Don't think any question is stupid or silly or anything like that, because we're all just learning. But yeah, if there's anyone that would like to explore doing some like DevOps Docker based stuff, then I'm more than happy to help and facilitate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you asked me about. I haven't got much experience with Docker setting things up. Mostly used it the other way, but I can give it a try, of course, if you need help.
Yeah. So what do you need exactly in the Docker image?
So what I was thinking about is just I would like to. So I think one thing that Rebecca is looking for as well is essentially something to build upon. So what I was thinking about is I would like to have a Docker hierarchy that has OpenCV with CUDA support, with ROS installed and then with our stuff installed on top. So essentially be able to provide a Docker build that can spin up Simple Tracker.
Got it.
In the ROS environment as well as outside of ROS, like the current Simple Tracker, without someone having to install all the, Conda and all the components and, all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
They basically just run a Docker install.
Yeah, so we have the Docker image with ROS2. I know some of the OpenCV stuff is there, not everything, but I can edit. But here comes the problem. This week I'm traveling, so I won't be available. So most likely I will be able only to do it next week.
Yeah, no, it's fine, man. I'm not.
But
trying to.
I'll ask you if you can give me a list of what you need, all the libraries and Git repositories that you want. I can next week I can work on that for you.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I mean, yeah, of course I can do that. It's I can make a start on it anyway, and okay. I can set up a repo if there's not a repo or whatnot, or but yeah, I can definitely make a start on starting to put some together. I guess all I'm asking for is if there's anyone that wants to help, they're more than welcome to help. Don't feel. I don't want you guys to like wait on me for, because otherwise I'm just going to become the blocker right at the end of the day. So
you're the progress, not the blocker.
Yeah, well, yeah, but it'd be good to do some of the stuff in parallel, sort of thing.
Yeah.
No worries, Mike. Yeah. This is a ROS system now.
Yeah, no, it's getting there, mate. It's not far off, eh? I mean, honestly, by the end of today, I'm hoping to be able to have the annotated frame. So like in Simple Tracker currently, you've got a frame feed that has got like that draws the bounding boxes around objects it's tracking and all that sort of stuff. So I'm hoping by the end of today I'll have that in ROS, really. So it should. Wow. I'm going to jump outside and go and wave a tennis ball at the camera to see if it will track it and all, those sorts of things. But cool. Yeah. So I'm making good progress, really. So yeah, I'm really impressed with the platform. Actually, it's really easy and simple to plug into and use. It really is really easy and simple to plug in and use, and it gives you a lot of options. So I'm really chuffed with moving on to it. It's something, I think I mentioned this in the past, this is what I was looking for, but I didn't quite know. I didn't obviously know about ROS2, and so I was going down other routes and thinking of other stuff. But yeah, so I think it's a great platform. I'm really impressed with it, to be fair.
All right. So, would it make sense? So yes, on one hand, we can wait for a week until Ido is back and has maybe some time for creating this Docker image. Would it make sense if, for example, Magnus, you were saying that you're not very familiar with Docker, just used it but not created it. Would it make sense if you jump in and maybe take with guidance of Ido and create the Docker image? Would that make sense, or is it better to wait a week?
Actually, I think it's better to wait a week.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, I think it's I don't think my time is most useful doing that actually, but as I said, I can give it a try. Of course, I can give it a try.
Now, in this case, I would say, Ido, if you next week, if you find the time to.
Yeah, I'll do my best. I'll after the recording is stopped, I'll share a few things so you get what's behind.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, but talking with you, Magnus, had you have the time to talk to Ido and Christian yet?
No, I haven't. I've been super busy at my at my day job these couple of days and weeks, and hopefully tomorrow I will know how it looks the coming weeks, because it's been I haven't had much time actually doing nothing but working. It's too sad, but yeah, that's how it is sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes I'm crazy.
Yeah, but I think I know in the beginning of this week how it will look on forward.
Absolutely no pressure, Magnus. You're here. You offered help, and we try to find the best place for you. But no worries. We all have our families and work job and things to do, and everyone is squeezing out time. But if the time does not allow to, it's all okay. So we just look that no one becomes a blocker. That's the only concern we need.
Yeah.
ROS2 is something, and I consider this as an asset from my point of view. It's that it creates so many independent nodes that working on one node rarely makes you a blocker. Because mostly one person works on a node, for example. Yeah.
Exactly that. That's definitely one of the benefits, or that's definitely going to be one of the benefits. Because one thing, sorry, I know I'm talking a lot, and I apologize for that. But one thing I did notice with like Simple Tracker, and people were generally like scared of it because not that it's a big application, but there is just there's quite a bit to get your head around and all those sorts of things. And one cool thing, a byproduct of spreading it out and into the ROS2 sort of platform is you're going to have those independent packages that people can work on and get familiar with, and it's not so overwhelming as a big getting your head around a big application. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, and we will be able to simulate it.
Once again, I didn't get it.
Oh, I said we will be able to simulate Simple Tracker, so we don't need to run it all the time. Right?
Sorry, can you repeat it? I heard a cracking.
Yeah, so we will be able to simulate Simple Tracker.
Okay.
Right? Because everything in the end is topics and events and messages, so you can simulate those.
Simulated, absolutely, yeah. So you're building simulators now. Is that what you say?
It's already part of ROS2. There will be record and playback capabilities, so there will be. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Ghost, you want to say something?
If I might inject, yes. What it is, particularly for Mike G and Magnus and possibly Rebecca there. A ways back, Mike G was asking for some help on some documentation stuff, and I said I'd be glad to help with that. And so, but looking at a slightly larger scale, I'm thinking in terms of also like how to implementing Docker and that kind of thing. I'd be happy to kind of start building up here's how you do it, so that when it's ready to roll out, we have something we can give to people. If that would be beneficial, I think it'd be for sure for what Mike is doing, that'd be beneficial. But anyway,
that's really kind of you.
Well, one of those things, I'm a big fan of read the manual, even when I'm the guy that has to write it. And I have done that kind of thing before. So I can turn chicken scratchings into all kind of things. But the bigger picture is to, when we're ready to start rolling this thing out, we have something we say, okay, here's how you do it. And then this is the kind of things to watch out for. Or like if we need something like libraries that we need to make sure people are installing, I make sure that gets in there and say, okay, here's your perquisites, here's what you do, here's what happens. And again, I'd be happy to be taking that on because I got a bunch of things to learn in here, and for me, that's a great way to learn it and cement it in really well. So I'd be happy to do that.
Hey, Ghost/Mike, that's a grand idea, and yes, we already started the documentation. It's very rude. It's only more or less the framework, the structure, and we do it with a tool. So basically, Yannick was the one who started it. We had 2 meetings up to now about it, and we redesigned the structure, and we are still not very happy with it, so maybe we have to retouch it. But the thing is, he nor developers, let's say, have the time to sit there and write text, understandable technical text. And so, your offer is perfect on spot. I'd like to make a meeting with you and Yannick to work that through, to work that out. If you are...
Yeah, that'd be great. I was...
Okay. So,
I'm sorry?
I can keep in touch with you on Discord, and I bring Yannick in so that we can meet once and talk from there. Perfect. Thank you.
Sounds like a plan. Usually, just so you know, usually I need about 24 hours. Just so I get it in with. Okay, I will be there. I've been running amok, and that's slowly tapering off, but not by a lot. But like I said, I'm like this meeting on Sunday. I make it a point. Okay, here where I'm at, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. I make sure I'm here. so
okay,
same thing when you set up a meeting with Yannick.
Yeah.
Then just like I said, I need about 24 hours.
This is also an
and
excellent
again,
idea.
I'd be happy to.
Yeah, I get it.
So,
what I want to
anyway,
say is...
So happy to help us, and be glad to.
Thank you. What I think is a great idea is because you join those meetings, and Yannick and Oliver and me, we were talking about the documentation and how to create it. It had to be, because it's an evolving documentation, because development is evolving. So what is true today must not be true tomorrow. So your idea with just being with the ear on the pulse, let's say, allows us to quickly adjust the documentation, which helps everyone. Grand idea. Thank you. Thank you for offering this, and I will come back to you with that.
That way. Yeah.
Cool.
So anyway, but like I said, just for like setting up meetings, usually about 24 hours works really well for me. This time of day, which I think it's, excuse me, what about 5 UTC? Something like that, 1700 UTC or whatever the current time is. Around this time of day usually works pretty good for me.
You're in ETC.
Yeah, I'm in the Western United States. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So, but again, I can also meet any other schedule. I just like I said, I just need a little advance warning. Okay.
Yeah, no problem. Perfect.
Okay.
We all need that, do we?
No worries,
Don't
man.
we?
Yeah, and I'll sit here and be quiet again because I do that very well for a man of my age.
Yeah, you should start raising bigger ears. Okay. Hey, Magnus, I wanted to come back to you. So my question was, because you described yourself as a backend developer, and my thought was maybe you should talk to Christian and Ido. And because that didn't take place yet, my question is, do you want to take your time? Because I heard that you are very busy right now with work and so forth. So shouldn't we postpone that question, let's say a week or so? Would that help?
Yeah, maybe, or at least a couple of days until I know more how my schedule looks forward. But actually, I'm the little time I had, I'm still working at helping Bex. So
okay.
yeah, so I have tasks, and it's not that, but I don't have the time at the moment.
Okay, sorry, I didn't want to hang you in the air, we say in Austria. So okay.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, cool.
Yes, he was working. Magnus was working on the video player to receive the stream of frames from, I think, from either Christian's camera directly or via the simple tracker.
Does that support frames, frame-wise?
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Since the we don't know how the structure will look on the messengers, I've held it kind of open so it can take several different formats, and I've made a layer in between the media player and the data stream, so we can attach those two later. That's my approach at the moment, and I've done some homemade ROS2 mock service to try to pretend I got messages coming. So yeah, that's the current status of it.
Okay. So please, guys, correct me if I'm wrong. The pipeline for the user interface for the GUI is that the camera image is taken with the Pi software, with a preprocessor somehow that provides frame-wise ROS image information, right?
Yes.
Okay. So when a subscriber like the GUI is taking that on, we then split the data that is represented in the GUI within several nodes, of course. And please correct me if I'm wrong here. What the simple tracker output is basically is not the image, but is the information about the bounding box, the tracking, the coordinates, the vectoring, and so forth.
Yeah, the fusion data. Yeah.
Yeah. So the output is text data, or kind of. And
no. So for the UI, there is the stream of the frames, right? But later on, we will also create another publisher that will take the stream and convert it to like a H264, H265, right? Just so there is a nice compression and it's more fluent and less kind of CPU usage also, right?
Okay.
And of course less bandwidth, but that will come later. Right now we will work on like low frame rates, just getting the frames and all the pipelines ready, and then we'll start optimizing them, making it more real time, more performance. Yeah.
But basically, it stays the way that. Excuse me. Go ahead, Magnus.
If I understand this correctly, it will come as two streams. The images itself will come in one stream, and the so-called metadata about them will come in another type of message, ROS2 message. So the GUI will have to subscribe to several topics, of course, but for the media player, it will be at least two topics that is of interest then.
For now.
So more because you'll have the camera later on and other stuff. But yeah, you're right.
All right. Okay. Yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah.
So Magnus, just so you know, I'm kind of just actually in the process of putting together. So I call it an annotated frame, but it's essentially it's frame with the bounding boxes and the tracks and all that sort of stuff. So I should be able to have a very like an example for you of how I've implemented that. I don't mean it's the right way, but that's just like how I've done it. You know.
Okay.
So
cool.
And then.
And when you say frame, what do you mean by frame?
So I term a frame as just like a video frame. So like you know when So sorry, that's just the only reason I call that is because that's kind of what it's referred to in OpenCV. So so.
Mike, wouldn't it make more sense that your output from the tracker is only the bounding box, only vector format? You do not have to create an image.
So I do that anyway, but so it's very difficult for me to check that if it's actually tracking something if I can't see a image with bounding boxes on it. So for me it's mainly just from that side.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, you can imagine I can see it's tracking something, but it's just it's just for testing,
of course.
sort of thing.
Well, you can leave it always as part of the code base, and then UI can decide if you want to subscribe to that image with the bounding box or not, and it will not run unless there is a subscription, so it's fine.
So currently the way I'm doing it is I'm just doing it at like the endpoint. So the thing so we call it we used to call it something we call it visualizer. So the thing that basically the little pop up that shows you the video. So at that point is where I grab the original frame and draw the bounding boxes on it, and I want to get to a point where I draw the tracks on it, and sized bounding boxes and all those sorts of things. So I need to get all of that stuff propagated through the messages appropriately, and just make sure it all works so that, you know. But yeah, if I need to produce a frame that has got all that stuff on it, then that's no biggie either. I can just create a package that subscribes to all those things and just move the code out and into another package sort of thing. So yeah, I don't know if that made sense. Sorry.
No, it does. It does.
Okay.
So did I get this right? The idea is that you split your output into with and without image. Did I get that right?
Yeah. So currently I've got several topics. I've got some topics that I should really. I'm just trying to think how I can show you, because once you see it, you'll see exactly what I mean. So currently I've got. I've got a. Sorry, let me just try and put my teeth in and just articulate this correctly. Okay, so currently I've got something called a visualizer, which is in ROS2. It's a ROS2 package, and that visualizer subscribes to the original. So I'll just talk it through here, but this also bear in mind I've been developing in isolation. Okay, so some of these things are going to be replaced. So it subscribes to what I refer to as the original camera frame, which for me is just I've got a mock implementation of the camera.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I've got a frame provider that provides frames to Simple Tracker, and you can. And in that frame provider, you specify whether you want to resize it, blur it, mask it, all that sort of stuff, you know. And at that point, it splits out an original frame, a gray frame, and I think the gray frame is masked as well. So then some of that stuff goes into parallel. There's one where we do like dense optical flow, which also splits out a frame. And then we do background subtraction, and I provide both the foreground mask as well as the background masked frame. So I provide several frames in a sense. From there, it goes into a detector where, you know, like simple blob detector tries to detect key points. Those key points then get also published on a topic, as well as bounding boxes, as well as sized bounding boxes, which are like fixed size bounding boxes, 64 by 64 pixels in size. So all those sorts of things get published independently, and you can subscribe to whatever you need to subscribe to. So then, like the video tracker will subscribe to whatever frame it requires, the frame feed, as well as the bounding boxes that have come in from the detector, and that then gets fed into the tracker to determine if it's an existing track or a new track. Then I publish tracks, which are basically, you know, the actual track on the frame. So if this is something that's been tracked before, or if this is a new track, or if it's a good track or a bad track, sort of thing, and also a bit of summary data, the tracking state currently. And so, you know, and all these things are published independently. And what I'm doing now is at the visualizer, which is another package, I'm subscribing to a bunch of the stuff and showing it, just displaying it on a screen, just so that I can see it all working together, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be in a position next week, hopefully, to do a demo of this, like share my screen. The difficulty I have is only reason I can't do it now is my Linux box is separate to my Windows box, and my Windows box has got Discord installed, so I just can't share my Linux box's screen. So I'm going to have to install Discord on there first. But then I can actually.
Mike,
okay.
would you be able to? Would you be able to write down the different topics and the properties of each?
Yeah, so I've got an endpoint README, which I've put on the Hangouts a couple of times. But yeah, so one thing that's missing from there is the actual message types that are published by those endpoints, and I still need to fill that out. So yes,
right.
I will do that. So then,
very good.
Then you can so you can also So I realized yesterday that the endpoints are all fine and well, but if you don't know what sort of message type is being published, then it's not really very helpful. So I need to also provide message data. So I will do that either later on today or tomorrow, and get it pushed into main branch.
Really good. Thanks.
All right.
No worries.
Thanks, Mike.
Sorry. I'll shut up now.
Pardon me? What did you say, Mike?
I'll be quiet now. I'm just talking too much.
No, you're not. Sorry. You're definitely not. So, mostly I'm the one talking too much. So I'm very happy that someone else takes on. Okay. I want to come back to my point at the very beginning. So the camera provider, so this node, I call it the camera, the image provider, whatever, that you with a simple tracker, one of the components is then subscribing to the stream, to the camera stream, to the feed, and you should get the frames frame-wise, of course. And the output for, let's say, for something for the user interface is not visual from your side. And that's my opinion, and I thought I understand it that way. Your output is pure vectors. So you put out vectors with timestamps, and event IDs and so forth. So that an entity like the user interface can subscribe on one hand to the image provider from the camera, and on the other hand to your tracker giving out the bounding boxes. And it merges these two data streams in the front end, right? Did I get that right? Please correct me if I'm wrong here.
Yes. So yes, you are right. Yes. So all I'm doing now is just writing a sample implementation for the merging.
Yeah.
So the merging of basically the frame as well as the bounding boxes and tracks and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, those things don't. So they get published independently.
Yeah. Exactly. So. Yeah, okay. There can be uses where you need an output with an image, but for the user interface as it is, I'd say it consumes all kind of data from all kind of nodes, and I think it makes much more sense that you do not, let's say, for the normal use, the everyday use, the 24/7 use, that it does only take your output, your calculations, your vectors and timestamps. I'd say that this is 90% of the use of that, right?
Yeah. So the only challenge I have found is that stuff like bounding boxes relate to a specific frame. So those two things aren't independent. So I can't, for example, if you subscribe to bounding boxes and frames and you get them out of sync, it's not going to be correct.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So I was struggling with that a little bit last week, and I think I've got it resolved now. So essentially what I do is I provide a frame counter, and it's a unsigned int64, so it can be a really big number because I was worried we were going to get overflows and all this sort of stuff. But I've got a frame counter, and I'm just using it to. It's just sense checking for me at the moment. This stuff, right? I need to just also, because I don't want to provide you guys with a feed for frames and a feed for bounding boxes and a feed for tracks and all this sort of stuff, and not have tested it, and then we realize that the bounding boxes are way behind the actual frames, and so forth and so on, because we are going to run into those sorts of problems, because frames will come thick and fast, but the ability to track is going to be slower than frames being provided. So we need to, at some point I need to know which the bounding boxes that come out of the tracker to say, I found this object before, this is its number, and this is a new one, and all this sort of stuff. I need to know what frame that relates to.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some complexities with merging all this data and putting it on a single frame, like, putting it on like what you see with Simple Tracker, where you've got the bounding boxes and the lines and the little bit of information in the top left that says, there's so many active trackers and so many, this is what's ended and started and all that sort of stuff. Because that was all done in process and at the same time, you don't have race conditions, which we are going to be experiencing now, because these things are being published independently. So all I'm trying to say is there's some complexities that we have to just deal with, I guess, and that's fine, and we'll just work through them. And I just want to kind of get ahead of those a little bit.
But Mike, when you detect an event and you do it per frame, and you keep them as a track if they, let's say, belong together, distance-wise, time-wise. So you actually publish a vector and a timestamp, right?
Yeah. So
per event,
I don't have a time. Yeah. So currently I don't have a timestamp included.
Mm-hmm.
But it's likely that I'm gonna have to. But
Mm-hmm.
but yeah. So I just need to. Because it's pointless you receiving tracking information of a frame that you showed 3 frames ago, if that makes sense. And that sort of thing is likely, potentially could happen, because the thing that's publishing the frames is independent of the thing doing the tracking. So the thing doing the tracking doesn't throttle the pace of the frames being published, because it happens independent.
Yeah, true. But this is a problem of the user interface representing that information. For example, if you buffer, let's say, 10 frames in the user interface somehow, and you get data, let's say, not from time 0, but from time 3. Let's say 3 frames later as the current frame should be. Then by using this buffer, you have let's say, you can shift in time. You always see only 5 seconds later. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So agreed, but in order to achieve that, you need to have a frame counter. So you need to know that the current frame is 3 ahead of, so so that's just what I've been implementing now, is a frame counter being published with all the messages, so that we know what frame each and every bit of data relates to.
Is your frame counter an integer from frame number?
It's unsigned int64, so it can be quite a big number. And I did look at it earlier, and I can work out how many decades it would take to fill it at 10 frames or 15 frames a second. I'm not saying it's the best thing to use. I'm not saying it's the best thing to use, but it's just the thing that I've currently just got in there for now.
Okay. Ido, this is probably a question to you. Would it make sense if Mike would add a timestamp, a global timestamp? Because we use on one board, and I think it's the Nano, still the Nano, maybe this changes to the Pi, we're using a GPS, and we are, let's say, all in sync with the GPS signal, and it's latency and so forth, but we have a global timestamp, right? Wouldn't it make sense if any data that is created use exactly that timestamp and handle the incoming data upon their timestamp in the user interface? Because we're never, with all sensors, in real parallel, in real time. There's always a little bit of latency, isn't it? Ido, you there?
Yeah, you might just be.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess the difficulty then is you're going to have potentially several different processing nodes be completely in sync with time. And I'm not just talking at the second level, it's going to be at the millisecond level, because if you want to get through like 15 frames a second, you know what I mean. So and I'm not for 1 minute trying to say it can't do that. All I'm saying is just currently what I've done is just using the frame count. If we need to change that to use a timestamp or some sort of tick counter or whatever you want to refer to it as, then that's fine. We can do that. It's just I've just made allocation for it in the messages currently.
Yeah. My question is more on the bigger scheme. Shall we do every data that a sensor produces given timestamp? I think we should, because otherwise, how shall we, if we store it, then recover it or replay it? And I think we have to deal with the timestamp, because a local running number, I think, would not help here, especially if then when we publish to the cloud.
So generally, so we also have to. So one thing I will say is, the only reason I'm having to kind of merge these things into one is because the frame. So I currently don't have an overlay over the frame. So I don't have like, this is the frame with no data on it, and then I'm going to put another frame on top of that is see-through with my bits of data that I've received from the tracks and all this sort of stuff. So if you have like multiple layers, you can build layers up independent of each other. Like the tracking boxes can be independent of the video frame, and so forth and so on. The only reason I'm having to kind of merge things into one is because I physically write that sort of information on the video frame currently, so it could very well be that some other stuff we don't necessarily write on the video frame, so it doesn't. Yeah, it might not. I guess there's an argument for record, like you want to record the stuff as accurately as possible, but for display purposes, if I could have the video frame independent of the tracks and the other state information, I wouldn't have to do this merging thing.
Yeah, exactly. You would not
just makes it a little bit more.
Yeah, I get your merging thing because you need it for development, but I question it, the need for either the storage of the data and
sure.
Also for the representation in the user interface. So for your purpose, yes. Mike, I totally get it. Absolutely. How else shall you? Should you? But I think storage-wise, I think the existence of that material is So these images, let's say these cropped images, is only for the neural network to detect with a certain probability what object there is. And this is only a further step for, let's say, a control program to send the PDF to it. So what I want to say is that the data, when it is stored, we do not need these little tiny images anymore, because we already have the output of that data. And I do not think, yes, we can, during development, during improvement, absolutely, I'm totally with you, but I'm thinking about the final product. Is it then necessary to have that? And if it's not necessary to store that because it's duplicate data, let's say, duplicate information, then we should also provide means so that we can disable it when it's not needed anymore. That was my concern.
Yeah, so I think they're going to be. I don't think we're going to be able to answer all those things right now, but it's. I agree. I agree. Yeah, I agree what you say. It's we don't want to duplicate anything, and it's yeah, it's gonna, yeah, we just have to work through it, I think, you know.
Yeah, you know, I was saying, when you think of sensors in an abstract way, so think, for example, of passive radar. Passive radar produces tons of data per second, and it doesn't make sense, if it is already once processed, to use the raw data, because then we would fill up with petabytes of data quickly. So I think the raw data is useful at the edge, but I don't see it. Yeah, during development it's useful to store it, absolutely. But at the end, when the system is running, when the network is running, I don't see any need for storing that data. And that's why I was thinking of let's say, all kind of sensors. What is the station actually? Is the station, we're not recording 24/7 and store everything. No, we do analyze what's going on and store that output along with data that is needed for that time to analyze it later on. For example, the video, because we want to see it. I'm just thinking out loud now. And I just want to question that every data that is produced is also necessary to keep.
I think it would be very beneficial to record everything for maybe a 72-hour window. So even in training, you can go back, recreate some event and train your system.
Yeah, training is
and
good.
Plus, there's stuff you could miss that your sensors may not detect. I mean, I've been putting a scope at, it's 1,500 millimeters at one point in the sky, and I get 10 hits a day.
Yes, of course, and we have always several events at the same time.
Yeah.
So yes,
but internal storage is cheap.
Yes, but it has an ending too, and even if it's cheap, you can put in terabytes, of course. But at a certain point, you have to go there and change. We see the internal storage more as a buffer, as a local buffer.
Yeah, the end goal is an automatic system.
Excuse me, one second, I didn't get that.
Oh, your end goal is something automatic.
Yeah.
That doesn't require technicians to go in and fine tune.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
And so this local buffer is, it's the same data that goes into the cloud. It's just a local buffer that so that the stations have quick and easy access to the data. And maybe this storage is also needed for post-processing needs, whatever. But it's only a buffer. But yet anyhow, hey Mike, I'm bubbling out here loud. What I wanted to say is that ROS gives us, and that's what I wanted to ask to Ido, that ROS gives us the opportunity to, for example, even from the image provider, to request certain cropped material. For example, if you in the user interface zoom in, you do not need the whole frame. You get only the zoomed in cropped version, and material like the 64-bit pixel images won't be useful there because we already see the event in the video, in the frame. What is needed is the output of the simple tracker, which is the bounding box and maybe some additional information. But I get it that you need it for development, absolutely. Now my question with this is, sorry I'm babbling here too much, is about the timestamp. And when we have several sensors and every sensor is giving out something, we cannot handle hundreds of indexes. So we have to have a global timestamp, and anything that syncs this data together afterwards, when it's stored, when it's picked up again. So I think with this problem of time latency and delay, and what you see is, let's say, 5 seconds behind and so forth. Yes, we have to deal with this. It's there. I mean, we can't.
Richard?
Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, I thought, given that the basic build has got a GPS specified in it, and GPS will kick out time to you as UTC, why wouldn't you be using that since it's already going to be there and it should be pretty much global?
That's the idea. We use GPS. That's an essential part of the system, because it's the only touch point where we get a global unified timestamp from, and we rely on that.
And but is there any? It sounds like there's some issue with using that for these other processes, and I wouldn't think so. I think that as a universal standard. That way, you know from GPS time exactly what time a given frame showed up.
Yeah, but an index
you can, handle
simpler.
It accordingly.
An index is simpler because when you just use, Mike, I'm not discrediting anything when I say just. When you only take a frame index, for example, and compare this with a timestamp, you certainly have a jitter. It goes back and forth. The time will never be as discrete as an integer will be. We have to, with the user interface, because you cannot request a certain timestamp because you do not know. You just know the next one or the prior one, or you can say from now 10 back or so, something like this. But if you require a certain timestamp, let's say three days ago at 17:01, for example, then you have to gather all the data with these timestamps, because the timestamp is the only reference here that we have. And we have to find the right frames. If the frames do not have a timestamp, we have to find the right frames within the index. Right. That's my concern here.
Yeah, no. I mean, so look, the frame counter is just something I'm using at the moment. I'm not saying it's the right thing to use, but I guess the only thing I would say is if you're going to use the time, if the GPS unit is going to control the timestamp, then at some point we're going to, at the point of sourcing the frame, so basically the camera is going to have to get a feed from the GPS, so that when it publishes a frame, it publishes a timestamp as well. Yeah. Because as soon as that timestamp, so if the timestamp can then be fit, like attached to the frame that comes in,
it is.
I can then follow that timestamp all the way through.
Yeah.
And associate and attach it to all the messages that I publish as well. So if I can, so the main thing is I need to get that at source. So I need to get that from the camera.
Yeah.
So the camera is going to be the thing that basically gives me the frame as well as the timestamp associated with that frame.
Yeah.
And then I will ensure that timestamp flows through all the messages that I generate.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I wanted to say. Christian told us this last weekend, when you can remember, that his output, so that the frames that he create will always have the timestamp in the header.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fine. I mean, it's just currently I don't my camera mock. Just isn't. I just picked a. Yeah, I just picked a frame counter, which is just, I mean, yeah. So that was just the thing that I decided on today, and just gonna see if I can. I'm actually not doing anything with it. I'm just publishing it, and that's one of the reasons why I want to get a visual on this stuff, so I can see how far behind the bounding boxes are to the object being tracked, and you know, and then kind of try and fix all that sort of stuff. It's still early days for me on this, as you can imagine, and there's still going to be, I'm sure there are going to be other challenges that need to be worked through and understood properly. But yeah, I'm just trying to. That's the one I've just hit now, if that makes sense. So I just had to do some thinking about it. That's all.
Absolutely, Mike. I totally understood during development. I just wanted to raise the topic of what after the development, so where we are heading to.
No, thank you.
That's all.
Yeah, no, thank you.
And I think it's the only way we have to go with timestamps. It's the only way how to address data that's mixed in our storage. How to retrieve it, basically. And even we have to find a retrieval process that can. For example, if you retrieve something on the millisecond, you wouldn't find anything probably. You know what I mean? So there has to be always a kind of a time frame that is picked from the data source. From the storage, local storage, for example. So if you go back 3 days, 1701 milliseconds, you only find probably one frame, one video frame, but you do not find, let's say, a motion detection, a motion sensor, for example, because it didn't alert, or anything else. Or it's something that is not in the same sync as the tracker, for example. So the whole system is permanently off sync. Or actually never. Actually, it is always in sync because it is always off sync. I don't know how to say this.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and it's just working with it, and it's just adapting what I've done in the past to it. You know what I mean? Because I've just run into that struggle this week. So I don't want to turn it into a big thing. It's no biggie, and as I say, it's interesting. You know, I find it quite interesting, really.
Challenging, you mean? All right.
Yes, that as well.
Any other open topics? Tommy, any topics from your side? You're muted. Still? No?
I can hear you fine. Yeah.
You can hear it? Okay, so I'm jumping out, come back in.
A streaming player? What is it?
Ah, okay.
It is in at the bottom of it. It is, yes.
Which are you using? VLC or Windows Media? What are you using?
No, it's a component that it's. I write it. It's actually I write it in Blazor. It works really good with Node, and it's a finished component that I use in the bottom that has all these different kinds of video functions that you want to have. So that's the key component in it, and I'm building the stuff around it to suit us. So, yeah.
So does that require a license on each user that's going to have a station? How does that work?
No, it's all free.
But what I'm saying, I'm sorry, will it be an application that you have to pass out to some? Is this like a VLC player? Is what I'm getting at?
No. It's a component for. It's a component to use in your development projects, and it's free to use. So, yeah.
So, but Tommy, you were talking about a media player, and Magnus was talking about a component that prepares the stream.
Yeah, but it's viewing the video stream.
So it's playback as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So what I'm getting at is that in order to utilize, my familiarity is that in order to utilize something like that, it would require everyone to download that application, unless it's automatically installed or embedded in the OS that we're going to put on every computer on every station. So just wondering how we can administer all that.
But I don't see what's the difference between that component and ROS2 or any other third-party components we use. There's no difference at all.
We put this all in the repo, and finally we make nice Docker images. Then we burn everything on an image, and then we provide this image to the public.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Yeah. That's exactly.
Yeah.
It being a standalone driver or application that you have to install, this will be embedded.
No. It will be embedded. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And we do not want the end user, we're not talking about developers, but the end user not install anything. Just download an image on your SD, put it in, and power it up.
That's perfect. That's
that. It has to be that way, because we also have to prevent users from intruding into the system.
Right.
It should not be infringible. Hackable, yeah.
Yeah, so that's that will be no problem. It will be fine.
It's a component, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Any other topic? We can talk about music as well if you want to.
Hey, have you guys heard of Cheech and Chong?
Of whom?
Chong?
Yes.
No, not you.
John? Who?
Have you guys, US, have you ever heard of Cheech and Chong?
Cheech and Chong is the weed smoking guys that make everything right.
I didn't know if it was popular outside the US or not. I'm really curious.
Yes, it's a little bit trashy.
I never saw the movie, but I know when I was in school, kids loved the movie and used to laugh about them all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can see them. I saw them on Amazon, I think. Yeah, they are fun to watch.
Yeah.
But there's let's see, if you ask me about Europeans, there are similar things produced in Europe along that line.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. All right.
So, yeah, people do smoke weed here as well. Hey, by the way, this is on record here. And I'm talking about whole Europe.
We need to edit this.
No editing. That's brutal. No editing.
Okay. Talking. Done. I'm done. All right. See ya.
You're out. So, Ghost, we're the only ones who don't care. Yeah, hey, guys, the Campfire channel on Discord.
In the background. Sorry.
Hey, guys, the Campfire channel on Discord was quite accepted, I think, right? There was a big need for that, I think. There was something like a valve that
perfect
music came out of.
Mm-hmm.
So is this...
We need more coming.
Yeah, the bench was a great thing. Is this, and this is maybe a stupid question because I know the answer, but Rebecca, is this the music that you prefer when you code?
When I code? Sometimes, but actually most of the music I'm posting is while I'm working. And while I'm listening to it, I'm like, hey, I'll go ahead and post it in the channel. So, but yeah, I'll listen to that when I code too. But most of that was posted while I was at work.
Yeah, okay, got it. But you listen to music while you code, right?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. I do.
Okay.
You should try.
There's a Discord bot called Hydra that plays music from the server. You can leave it on certain channels, so you can put it in the campfire and play music right onto that.
Oh, really?
I loaded it up from my other game that I play, so you can research Hydra. See if that's something you want to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hydra with Discord and Chrome.
Yeah, it's like a Discord bot.
Bot.
And people can say, "Hey, I like this song," and or they can say, "Hey, skip it." The robot takes care of it.
Hey, sweet. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a nice idea. We'll do that for the campfire.
It's a great.
So, Magnus, you listen to music when you code?
No, I don't actually.
All right.
Mostly I listen to some pod or and something talkative, not music. It's too disturbing, I think.
Really? So you can follow a talk while you're coding?
Yeah.
Okay.
I swore you said pot. I swore you said pot. I swear that's what you said.
Yeah, I find that I find it easier. I get too distracted by music.
Huh. Never heard that. Okay.
I'm telling you, speed metal works. Just turn it on low, and the beat just gets to you, and you're like, "Oh, why am I speeding up so fast?"
Maybe I should try that.
It works. It's subliminal. It's just in the back of that head,
Okay.
Try binaural beats.
Yeah,
what?
binaural beats.
Binaural beats.
Okay.
You know binaural beats?
No.
No.
Those are stereo kind of music that creates a disturbance in frequency in the middle of your head.
I got enough disturbances in my head.
They have differences of anything between 8 hertz to 40 hertz. And they said they have healing properties.
Yeah, healing properties. Several properties. Some might be healing, yeah.
Wow.
Hopefully.
I did an Android app, and I put it even on the store, binaural beats, and you just say what frequency you want, let's say the theta frequency, and you just play a certain frequency, and you shift the other one by the theta frequency, and your brain eliminates it. It's like two waves that cancel each other out, let's say. But the remaining part, the off part, the theta part, for example, the 7 hertz part, remains, and that's what you hear.
Yeah, exactly.
But you hear it because there is a difference between your right and your left ear. And this is then because you're centered in, because you have one ear on each side. It centers this frequency inside your brain. So what you can create by this is a standing wave inside your brain. Wow, it depends on the frequency you choose, what effect it has.
Yeah, so the technology behind it today, they can actually fire specific neurons inside your brain in a very specific location because of it.
Do we have the same reaction? Does everybody have the same reaction to it?
Who?
The
Monroe Institute.
So I don't know enough of the research, but I know they were able to train 3 monkeys. Actually, there is a video on it on YouTube somewhere. To train 3 monkeys to work together as a one kind of consciousness to move a robotic arm.
Wow.
Very interesting. Yeah. And that's by providing them a feedback. So every time they will do the correct kind of movement, they reward them with a apple juice or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So they're reading their brain and firing neurons to teach each other. Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. That's what the aberrationers have been doing.
Soon the monkeys will be coding.
Well, you have a GitHub Copilot that is coding for you already. If you don't use it, it's a must-have, I think, today.
What is it doing? Sorry, I didn't get it.
A GitHub Copilot. It's a plugin on Visual Studio Code that it's actually looking at the code that you're writing and all the GitHub open source projects, and he will try to predict what the function you're trying to implement and implement it for you.
Ha! Okay.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Also, there's that. Well, just write the whole thing for you, but I haven't.
GitHub Copilot.
Found them.
Copilot.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I need. Something to code for me.
To talk with it. Give me a window. Make a line. Okay. Hey,
That's a trick.
Mike, what music do you listen while you code? Do you listen music
Oh,
while
no,
you code?
No, I listen to the radio.
Normal everyday radio, really? Okay.
Yeah, I listen to something called Virgin Radio over here.
Oh well.
So,
okay. That's on the
yeah,
fringe.
so
That's not local.
No, that's all. But isn't Virgin Radio the one that the Dutch established in the North Sea? A boat, a fireboat? Was it that one? Or was it a different one?
no. Are you? There's a movie about that called The Ship That Rocked. Or,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rock and roll out or something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember the radio station that they. It's like it's like pirate radio or something, wasn't it?
Exactly.
It was like
Yeah. It's not that one.
No, so no. I mean, Virgin Radio is just basically a radio station locally that there's a DJ called Chris Evans who I like his show, so I just and he's on that radio station, so that's why.
It says
nothing more.
It says hot adult contemporary radio station.
You have to subscribe for it.
Is this like porn on radio? What is that?
Porn on radio. Oh dear.
Well, it's part of the Virgin brand, like Richard Branson. So it's spelled differently.
Okay.
I've been to London and I've seen the shows you guys have.
Yeah, I think you might be spelling the Virgin wrong when you search for it, so just be careful there. It's VI, not VE. Yeah, I'm just trying to log into Discord in the browser because I can show you where I've got to. Actually, I've got my annotated frame working now. It's not doing terribly much, but if you guys just give me like 5 minutes just to try and log in, I'm trying to pick it's asking me to pick an adult cat on one of these capture things, and I keep on getting it wrong.
What is an adult cat?
It's got cats and kittens, and I keep on getting the cat wrong. I suspect.
Don't you know the difference between a cat and a kitten?
Yeah, I thought I did, but clearly I don't.
In the countryside, you should know.
I know. That's the thing. I'm going to start arguing with it in a bit, I think, because I think it's wrong. But yeah, I don't think it quite works that way. Oh God, sorry. Yeah, I know. Pick one that's got a pattern. I'll try and log in as quickly as I can. Sorry, I'm being distracted.
Take your time. We're there, and we're very curious what you want to show us.
God, Ether has gone down another 5%, 6%.
Oh yeah, the merge went very smooth. But they have clients bugs now. I think Besso has a lot of bugs.
Ether has bugs?
They did a switch.
So they switched from proof of work to proof of stake.
Okay.
They changed the consensus algorithm of the Ethereum network.
Mm-hmm.
So miners are not working anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's now validators. And it went smooth. It went like basically the new block was created, no problem. The after block, they had like 4% or 7% kind of loss in 13 minutes. And that was enough for them to completely say, like, this is proof and let's continue. So it was amazing. Yeah. Biggest upgrade of a network ever.
Mm-hmm.
And it happened so fast. I was thinking like it was going to end up being so.
Yeah. We were waiting, I think, about 3 hours for the difficulty to get to the point that the switch will happen. We couldn't know the exact time, but it looks like miners went offline before. So the difficulty kind of went up like slower than expected. But yeah, it's working for like 2 days now, 2.5 days. I don't know if you see, I can show you. But yeah, here is my node there, working.
You are not a validator node.
I'm a validator node, yeah. For years, so yeah.
All right, okay. And the roadmap is showing what?
No, so this is like my validator, just show the CPU consumption, memory, and some logs.
Okay, the display, but the roadmap is just the map on the wall.
The map is just a map.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. But I can put my station up there with some LED.
You got the node a while back ago, you said, right?
I'm sorry?
You got the node a while back ago, right? You didn't. This isn't like, right? Or is it?
The node itself, yeah. It's I ran it for several years. Yeah.
I heard those were like 3 ETH or something like that. Is that right?
32. Yeah, 32 Ether.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Man.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully that will take up.
So 32 Ether is now what value?
No, so to create a validator, you needed to lock 32 Ether.
Okay. 1 Ether is 1369 right now. 1369.
1369.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is 1 Ether.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was looking at the ASIC miners for KDA, for example, because they've been selling them at like $60,000, which is unreal. Or they were before the crash. Oh, yeah. They're still asking $25,000 for them. It's like, yeah, it's only worth $1.50 right now.
Well, the market is gonna. The estimation is the market will get now a flow of GPUs. I think around 20 million GPUs will come on market.
GPUs, you said GPUs.
Oh yeah, you're gonna buy GPU like cheap soon, very cheap.
Just because of the mining needs.
The mining is stopped. Yeah,
they built up.
The mining is stopped, and that's why so much of the GPU is now floating around and being available. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What does that create? What do you think?
What will that create?
Mm-hmm.
Big demand for hardware. I mean, no demand for the hardware, but that's the problem. Is that there's going to be a big stockpile of chips now.
Yeah. Are we still on record, or we can get offline?
Still a record. Shall we go offline? I just
want we should go offline.
Yeah, okay, we talk later on. But I want to wait for Mike. He wanted to show us something, and then I want to have that in the record.
Yeah, so I'm just having difficult. I don't know if you guys hear me.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so I just realized now that my mic and headphones is not in the other PC. So I'm logged in to I'm logged in on Discord on the browser, so I can show you what I can see on screen, and I can move the screen around a little bit and stuff like that, but you're not going to hear any voice.
Okay.
Is that okay? So it might be best. Do you want me to do that?
Yeah,
sure.
go ahead. Why not?
Okay. So you're not going to be able to hear me, okay? And I'm not going to be able to hear you. So I'll share my screen.
But you can
I'll share
be
my
here,
screen.
You can be here with two platforms. You can be here with your Android as well as your desktop.
Okay.
Not
I might.
Because every time
I'm on my desktop and cell phone right now. Mm-hmm.
What on the meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, not in the meeting. Not in the
in the
meeting.
meeting?
No,
Yeah.
cell
So if you
phone-
join the meeting, it'll ask you to. Yeah. It'll. You can't join the meeting from two devices at the same time. I mean, if you guys want to try,
I tried.
let me know if.
Worked,
Not working?
trust me.
Really? I thought I saw Oliver doing that.
I've tried it. I've tried it. As soon as you hit the other one, it logs you out of the first one you were in.
It locks you out
So
from the first one. Okay.
So like right now, I got my desktop up, but I'm on my iPad. If I were to switch over to my desktop, it would automatically log me out of this iPad.
I see.
It does it all the time.
Okay. Yeah,
So
Mike,
if you want.
Yeah, go ahead. Show us, please.
Okay, I'm just going to arrange all my thingies. So I'll show you, and then I'll probably cancel and get this one going again, so that we can talk it through.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If that okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Just give me 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Try.
The suspense is killing me.
So has he bought any Bitcoin lately?
Oh, there he is.
What do we got?
A lot of
Hey.
windows. Okay, we see. Original. I see FP original and camera original. Dense optical flow. Okay.
Nice.
The foreground mask.
Cool.
Okay.
Yes.
So, Mike, what did we see? So this is recorded time where nobody makes a peep. Most people now stop the video playback because they think that the player crashed. But we're still waiting for Mike to come back and tell us what we just saw.
Mike's been talking.
Mike is talking. Damn. I don't know why.
Been talking.
Oh my dear. Sorry, Mike. Mom. This is so ridiculous.
No, sorry, mate.
Okay.
So yeah. So the only thing what you saw there, and I'll talk through it quickly, and then I'll share it again so that you can get another view of it, because it might make more sense to when you see it the second time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So basically, each one of those dialogues is showing a image feed from its own topic, from a separate topic. And each one of those dialogues is showing something different. So, for example, you've got the original frame from the camera. You've got the gray frame from my frame producer, the original frame from the frame producer. And what I can do is I can size the original frame from the camera different to the frame from the frame producer. Maybe I should do that because that will give you a bit, maybe give a bit more impact. And so all of these things are just individual. And then there's one called...
Everything represents a ROS node, right?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
Yes, and also you'll see there's a message box at the bottom, or there's like some tracking information with a tracking number at the bottom that keeps on incrementing, and that's from the ROS state, so that's from the state node. So that's again independent to all the other stuff.
Cool.
The only thing I can't show you is basically I'll have to go outside and like put a tennis ball or something in the air, but I can't show you it actually tracking. I want to see if I can. I want to do that first before I demo it. So I'm not sure if it's going to be right.
Come on.
So,
don't be just a sissy. Demo it. Come on. Go outside.
maybe something will come along if we watch for a minute.
Yeah, so maybe a pigeon will fly past. Who knows? But so I'll try and I'll share the screen again, so you can, hopefully you'll see it with different eyes now, and also just keep an eye on you'll see some stated information at the bottom, and that's just from the state node. So let me share again.
Okay. He shows the order of original, then grayscaled, then annotated, but there's nothing happening now. And then it's masked. I hope that the masking goes before the annotation.
Yeah, and you can see at the bottom there is the frame count.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really cool.
Wow. Is Mike talking again?
Yes.
Oh damn! I have it. Oh, I have to get out again. Sorry. Okay, Mike, I got you.
Sorry, mate. Yeah.
Problem on my side. Sorry.
Must be a glitch when you talk when he's streaming. It seems to kick you out.
To kick it, to lose the stream.
So that's just what I wanted to demo, basically.
Okay, so
cool.
what we saw is the output of each node that you created, right?
Yes.
So you got little visualizers that subscribe to your ROS nodes and represent what the output is. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So if you want to, I'll go back. I can share my screen again and just show you. Actually, I can share my screen again and just show you. So there's a visualizer node that subscribes to all this stuff and outputs it to screen. So I'll show you that quickly if you want to see that.
Okay.
It's 2 minutes.
Oh yeah. So okay, he's showing us the subscriptions, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe either you can comment what he's showing us.
Yeah, he's showing the subscription. That's nice.
And below is the an echo output, or
So you see here the track array that he receives,
yeah,
and he puts the with the bounding box, and he just went past it. Yeah, so this is the track. Yeah, Sky360 tracker. That's nice.
sweet. So
Cool.
cool.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but
Absolutely. So what you showed us is one application that subscribes to 10 different nodes and outputs it underneath in an echo terminal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so exactly that. So this is a node that subscribes to a lot of other nodes or a lot of other topics and just shows it to screen.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you can basically kind of, one thing I'd still probably do is kind of combine all of those images into one image, like a collage, and just display the one image versus showing 10 of them in 10 separate dialogues, sort of thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
you can create actually a configuration that what you want to display in that image, and like booleans, and those selected, that's what you can add to the frame.
Okay, yeah, that's a bit. I'm not quite there yet.
Okay.
but no. So yeah, but that's just based how far I've got. So the thing now is just to see if tomorrow or so I'll go and move a tennis ball or wait for a pigeon to fly past and see if the bounding boxes get drawn in the right place and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
A drone.
Fly a drone, yeah.
But yeah, drone as well. Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's quite neat. I think it's cool. Anyway,
yeah.
So
yeah.
So
nice.
So yeah, so that's pretty much. Yeah, sorry guys, I've taken up a lot of your time.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, it's a very interesting part you're working on right now. So we're all learning from what you do at the moment. At least me. So
yeah. No, it's good fun.
The whole concept is so sweet that you can split your big chunks of software into several parts that just communicate in almost on zero latency. That's nice. It's nice to see in work in real work now.
Well, you still have the latency. We didn't get to that part yet, but
a bit of
that will be resolved. Yeah.
Okay. Yo, okay. Hey guys, it's 12 minutes before the clock. If there are no other topics, I'd say we wrap it up today. All right? No comments?
Just stay after the stop. I'll share something.
Yes. Okay. Tommy, you stay too. Okay. Yeah, I stop recording now. Bye, guys.
Okay.